Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Sober Yoga Girl podcast. I am so excited to be sitting here today with Megan Wilcox. And Megan is the founder of the Sobah Sistahs community. And I love the way that's pronounced, Sobah Sistahs. It's awesome.
And you said
And
it perfectly.
thank you. And Megan actually brought a group of women on a retreat in Bali in April, and that's how we connected. And it was so wild to me because we got connected through our sort of mutual friend, Marie, who sort of set us up. And it's so wild to me because I got introduced to you and I was like, how do I not know this woman who's like so influential in the sober world? And you just have such an amazing platform, amazing community, and it's just so inspiring to see. And so we got a chance to meet in April when was it April or May? When did you have your group? April?
April.
Yeah. And that was just so fantastic. And so I'm so excited to have you on the show today and just hear more about your story and your journey.
Yeah, me too. I'm so happy to be here. And you were just such a huge part of my Bali retreat. So I'm excited to reconnect and touch base and see how everything's going.
Amazing. So let's talk first about the Bali retreat. That was incredible. And it was your first time traveling out of the States? Is that right?
Second, it was my first retreat ever that I've ever even been on, let alone like kind of running it myself.
Amazing.
But I just got my passport at 39 years old last year, and I did go to Cabo, Mexico. So that's not that far to go from Boston, but going 30 hours to Bali is just like, I still can't believe that I actually did it.
My gosh. And I just like got shivers. Like that is just so incredible. And what an inspiration to so many women when you think about like all of this happened because you got sober. Like if you were still drinking, that retreat would have never happened. And that's just so incredible when you think about it.
Exactly. And it's actually when you then break it down, like to think, okay, if I didn't get sober and I didn't say yes to do this retreat, then all these other amazing women would have never experienced it either. And so when I think about it like that, it's like, wow, this really was, for me, it was life changing. And I know it was felt, very similar to the other 13 women that came with me. So it's pretty, I feel very proud that I did get to that point.
It's amazing. So I was wondering if we could start off by you telling me a little bit about your life before sobriety. Like, what was it like?
Okay. I'll go real quick back to my childhood, and I did have a really, great childhood. And my parents are both amazing. I have an older sister and a younger brother. They're both great. We're really close. We all live all over the map. So my brother's in New Mexico, my sister's in New York, and I'm here in Boston. So we don't live near each other, and I haven't for 20 years. The only thing that really impacted my childhood was my parents did divorce I was 14 years old. And I definitely took that the hardest out of everybody. Like for years, I just was like, please get back together, and just didn't understand it at the time. Now, I guess, I do looking back. So that definitely like impacted me a lot. And then fast forward, I guess. So when I was 18, my mom moved to Boston and she left, and that was really hard on me. I didn't know like what I was going to do with my life. I didn't know, college or anything like that. And I found myself, so this is where like the addictive personality in me started to come through, was at 18 years old, I developed a full-blown like gambling addiction from 18 to 20 years old. And I was spending all of my money from waitressing on gambling, just trying to search to fill that void that I felt inside of me. I kind of always felt like I did have like a black hole, like people pleasing, and it just never felt good enough, and low self-confidence and self-worth. And so I don't know, I guess the dopamine rush I would get from gambling felt really good. But I'll tell you that ride home when I would lose my car payment or whatever it might be was so similar to the feeling I would get after a night of drinking. So drinking didn't really become an issue until a little later on in life, actually after I had kids. My drinking wasn't good. If I did drink in my younger years, it was more binge drinking, definitely put myself in situations that could be dangerous and things like that. But I could go weeks, months without drinking, and it wasn't a thing. It really wasn't. It wasn't until I discovered wine and the whole relaxation thing after I had kids.
So what was that like building up to the point of when you got sober? Like, how much were you drinking? What was your kind of dynamic with it like?
It started out, I would get a bottle of wine and I'd probably pour a glass and then fall asleep. It didn't just happen overnight that I was drinking a bottle of wine. And that's the thing with this whole thing, is that it progresses so slowly over time that you don't realize it. And so 2017, I unfortunately got divorced. It was really, really tough on me. And so I spent those 3 years after my divorce basically self-medicating with wine. And I would typically drink, a bottle of wine a night. And if I wasn't working, I work overnights in a hospital. So I was really good at working my drinking around my responsibilities, my kids, my job. I was never late for work. I never called in because of my drinking, but man, it was so much work to continue to keep alcohol in my life and then try to keep all my responsibilities. So it got really dark though towards the end, and pretty much in the pandemic and at the end of 2020.
Wow. And there's a few things that stuck out to me about what you just shared. And the first is like that it really does creep up over time. And I think that's so important to highlight, because people seem to think like you're just born with this addiction and this is just like what you have, and automatically from the first time you drink. And for a lot of people, that's not their story. Like they start out drinking just like their friends, and all of a sudden it's like, people are taking one path and you're taking the other, and you don't even notice it until you like look back and really see, where did I cross that bridge, or where did it become something that, shaped how I spent my day, or really influenced my choices.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it really did creep up like that, where it would be like play dates with my kids, and it would be like
Mm,
mimosas, and
yeah.
then it just started being involved like in every single aspect of my life. But then eventually got to a point where I needed it. I had to have it. I didn't even really enjoy it. I didn't like it, but it was such a routine and such a habitual habit that I just couldn't seem to stop, and I would Google search AA meetings or rehab. I didn't know like what I needed. I didn't realize at the time that there's other options. And so as a single mom, I was afraid to reach out for help because I was afraid I would get my kids taken away or something by saying I had a problem. And so I didn't. I kept it to myself really for a long time, and just would try to like moderate or try to cut back or take breaks, and nothing worked. I always thought too, you don't have a problem unless you're drinking in the morning or getting a DUI. Thank God I never had one. Not because I never drank under the influence, but I just thankfully, didn't ever get one. And it's just crazy. I don't know, like looking back. And so I didn't drink in the morning, but until actually at the end, I would find myself, work was so stressful with the pandemic, working in the ER. I would come home after my overnights, and then I would drink a bottle of wine at 7:30 in the morning. And that's when I was like, whoa, what the heck is going on? This is not normal. Like what do I need? What do I have to do to stop?
And so what did you do? Like, what did you reach out to? What resources did you use in the early days?
Yeah, so one of the first things I did was actually I went to a Zoom meeting for
Yeah.
women, a support meeting, and that's when I realized, wow, I'm not alone. I'm not the only person that's struggling, with this. And at this point, this is around December, and my mental health is at an all-time low. I'm sleeping all the time, taking my kids to school, coming home, getting back in bed, sleeping, and I remember my son saying, Mom, why are you sleeping all the time? And I was like, oh, gosh, this is just not me. It's not who I want to be. So I guess the first thing that really helped change was the Zoom meetings. And I won a scholarship to this like sobriety course through the Luckiest Club, through the book We Are the Luckiest. I don't know if you ever read that. And I had applied, and I was like, I'm a single mom. I live in Boston. I work in the ER. I really would love this. I want to get sober so bad. And that night of my rock bottom night when it was Christmas night and I drank a bottle of wine and I was just crying, like yelling out to the universe, please, somebody help me. Like, please, literally out loud saying it. And then I checked my emails to find a Zoom meeting, and I found this email that I won the scholarship. So then I was like crying, happy tears. And I think if I didn't win that, I don't think I'd still be sitting here today. It's so weird how like one thing can happen and it completely changes the direction of your life.
Oh my God, wow. I just got shivers and got tears, even though I've heard that story before. As you started telling it, I was like, oh, I remember you telling this story in Bali. It's incredible and it's beautiful. And it's exactly what you say of like sometimes one thing can change that, or one thing happens and it changes the entire trajectory of your life. And it's a really beautiful reminder as well, because, you know, I know Laura McCowan, and you think of these sober influencers and they probably just have no idea the impact that they're having. But that decision to give you that scholarship didn't just change your life, it changed the life of all of the people that are now in your community and coming on your retreats and following you. And that's just the ripple effect of you know, those moments and those decisions. It's just incredible when you really think about it.
Yes, exactly. And so it just keeps carrying on and on and on. And
Yeah.
it's amazing. So I started taking that course. It was like maybe 3 months long, and we would just meet and we would work through different things. And so I went 100 days without drinking alcohol. So that was the longest that I'd ever gone, like, you know, and since I probably had kids or, you know, whatever. And then after that, I felt like I still was having cravings and that I didn't want to go back to feeling that way. My mental health now was like so much better. I wasn't as depressed as I was. My medication was able to work that I was taking, because when we're drinking on antidepressants or anti-anxiety, whatever medication you're taking, it actually will make any symptoms that you're taking it for even worse. So now I'm finally feeling better, but I'm so afraid that I'm going to go back once we ended that thing. And so I reach out to a doctor. And at that point, I went on naltrexone for maybe like 5 or 6 months. So I went on a anti-craving medication, and it helped me a lot.
That's great. And I love that you share that, because I think it's really important for people to know that there's like so many different kinds of resources. And I think like medication can be a huge support if for people that are worried about those cravings, and there's like so many different paths to sobriety. There's not one way.
Exactly. And for me, it wasn't just like, okay, give me the medication. Because otherwise, besides me drinking a bottle of wine every night and drinking, you know, alcohol, I was really a really healthy person. Or so I thought. I would eat organic. I didn't eat refined sugar. I didn't eat gluten or dairy. Like I was very like regimented on that. And so for me to be like a medication, like, oh, I'm not gonna do that. And so
Yeah.
my doctor told me just look into it. So I did. And I figured, you know what? What's temporarily taking a medication? The benefits outweigh the risks of me continuing me to drink, because alcohol is literally like the worst thing that we can do to our body. So I really weighed the options and figured, what do I have to lose? And so that's why I've been really open about it. I wasn't at first, but now I am. And there's been many women from my group who have gone that route and have taken the medication and now are finally able to put all the pieces together and use all their tools. They use all their tools and are able to actually tie, you know, string together longer stints of not drinking.
Amazing. And so tell me about like, how did the Sobah Sistahs community come about? When did you start that? What did it look like in the beginning? Like, tell me about that journey.
Yeah, so it's funny. So I live in Boston, so that's where I get the Sobah Sistahs. So it's, you know, in Boston here, they don't really say their R's and all of that. So I had started a group chat with a couple other moms in my town who were also single moms and were also drinking a lot and wanted to stop drinking. So we just had this like little group chat where we'd be like, I don't want to drink today. And we would just kind of support each other. Well, then I got sober and I was like, hey, I'm gonna start an Instagram account with Sobah Sistahs. You guys care? And they're like, no, whatever. So I started it in June of 2021. So I was probably then like 6 months sober. And I literally thought I was like the first sober account. I didn't realize there was like a whole world of sober accounts on social media and how huge it really was. And so I had already had like a food page. And so I was kind of like into social media and things like that. So I figured, why not use this my sobriety for a page, because I knew how life-changing it was. And so yeah, I just kind of started it for fun, no expectations, no idea of what would end up happening. And then in October of that year, I started hosting free meetings several times a week, and I did the free meetings for over a year religiously every Wednesday, twice a day on Wednesdays, and really just built this strong community of amazing women.
That's amazing. And so you were doing it for free for like a chunk of time, and then you had your membership. And now, like, what does it look like now? Like, if someone's listening and wants to work with you and get involved, how can they work with you?
Yeah, so I do one-on-one coaching, and I kind of had pulled back on that a little bit because I was really seeing that the group coaching was being very effective for people, and that's everybody was just craving connection, craving other women. And then so I do group coaching pretty much every month. I'll run like a new month. So right now I'm doing June, and it goes till July 3rd. It ends, and we have like this great group of women, and we do like coaching sessions. So not only do we just support each other and share stories, I'll bring up a topic. So sometimes it might be health or sleep or, tools for cravings. Like every week I have like a different thing that we'll go over. And it's been really helpful for many, many women. It's absolutely just like incredible to hear and to see them hitting like these milestones. Like I've had a girl in my group who's hit a year, who have hit a year, and it's like, wow, this is just so insane to me. So yeah, they can definitely check out the group coaching one-on-one if they're looking for even more support. Sometimes people do both, which I think is really nice if you're really looking to like step it up and pull out all the tricks. And then I just started my own podcast. I have 5 episodes out. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. I saw that. Super cool. And you also are restarting the Facebook group, right? The Sobah Sistahs Facebook group.
Yes. So as you mentioned, I did have a membership at once. It was like a monthly thing. And I was like, you know what, let's just go back to the free thing. And so now I opened up a private Facebook group. It's Sobah Sisters Sobriety. So you should be able to search it on there and find it, or just message me and I'll give you the link. And we're building it up. It's still kind of small. It's like maybe 200 women at this point, and which I think is actually great, because sometimes the groups get too big and then it's really harder to make connections. So yeah, we have the free Facebook group, and then a couple free meetings, that I'll just be hosting on Zoom every month.
Yeah. And tell me about your retreats. So you have Punta Cana coming up soon.
Yes. And again, this is like just so crazy to me, because one of my goals was to save money, because I've notoriously been terrible with money in the past, even filed bankruptcy 7 years ago, and just have spent the last 3 years like rebuilding my credit. And so one of the things was to save money and to travel. And so I'm really hitting that travel thing, like pulling out no stops. I had went to Mexico and then the Bali retreat, which is incredible. And now I'm doing Punta Cana in October. At the end of October, it's 4 nights, 5 days at this amazing, beautiful adults only wellness resort. And we still have a couple spots left. So if anybody's interested, feel free to join us. And I got a $200 off code for you if you want. Just definitely reach out, and that's going to be great. It's going to be a lot of meditation, and there's going to be a breath work and some yoga. I wish you were going to be there to do our yoga. Oh my God. That was one of my just favorite parts of Bali, was having you there and be part of our morning circles every morning. I don't know if I couldn't have done it like without you. You definitely made it like so special on a whole nother level. And I was even like, can you just do this morning? Because I want to like learn from you. And it was just incredible. Yeah, so thank you for that.
And I have to tell you, it was just incredible to be part of your retreat. But I love that about you is that I was like a little bit nervous coming into it. Like, I was like, I don't know, it's like Megan's retreat. Like, I don't know if I'm like overstepping by doing things, whatever. And I just love that about you is that you're so like, you have this amazing group of women and this huge following, but you're just so like humble and like, and welcoming to me and welcoming to everyone. And I feel like you don't have this bone of like I know there's a few people in your group who are now thinking about running their own Bali retreats. And I feel like there's just no sort of competition in you. You're just like, you're about lifting up and inspiring other women. And I really admire that because I think it's easy to get a little bit like, you know, a little bit like competitive about things. And I just felt super like welcomed into your group. And it was awesome.
Well, good. I'm glad that you felt that way.
Yeah. And we're doing Bali again next year. And next year it's going to be my birthday, which is really exciting. So I'm pretty sure your retreat in Bali is April, I think it's like 7th to 14th, right? Is that? Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
So my birthday is April 7th. So anyone who wants to come celebrate my birthday with me and Megan in Bali, that would be awesome.
Oh, that's so cool. I love that because my 40th birthday was like right after I got back
Yeah.
from Bali. So it was like, it was really, so we did celebrate it there. Remember, everybody brought me a cake out and I was
Cake
like,
for
oh my God,
breakfast.
I remember the last time someone sang me happy birthday. Like, this is so cool. So, yep, going back to Bali. I mean, I was like ready to rebook that next retreat before I even left. I was like, I need to come back here. And man, if my life was a little bit different, I would totally move there too. If I was able to just like get up and leave and relocate. I just love their way of life. It's so incredible there.
Oh, it'll be so awesome next year. All right. I have one more question for you, which is if you had any wisdom or advice for someone who maybe is listening to this show and is curious about starting their sober journey, but hasn't yet taken that step and begun, what would your advice be?
My advice would be to reach out to a group. Don't try to do it on your own because it's so difficult, you know, like there's drinking just all around us in the society. And so it's very easy to just forget about why you're doing this and to go back. So joining a group is really going to be the most impactful thing that you can do, hearing other women's stories, learning more about kind of what's going on. And one other advice too would be don't listen to other people or try to get other people's opinions, like if you have a problem or not. All you need to do is follow your intuition. And if your gut is saying like something's wrong, this is a problem, then it's a problem. It doesn't matter if you're drinking 7 days a week or 1 day a month. When you drink, you don't like yourself or you don't like the way you feel. That's all you need to know. And so just trust your intuition.
Love that. Awesome. Well, Megan, thank you so much for being on the show. I'm really excited for the audience to listen to this episode because I think they'll take a lot from it. And I am so excited to see you next year in Bali.
Yay, me too. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it, Alex.
Take care.